How are you guys today?
What grade? What grade we got here?
Second grade. From where?
Oakley, Kansas.
All right. Yeah, that's Dr. Jake's hometown. Hello. Are you gonna say something? Or are we gonna do it?
Yeah, go ahead and do it, and I'll
Goat head.
I'll correct
He
you
called
when
me a
you do
goat
something
head.
wrong.
I'll tell you. Okay, welcome everybody. Has everybody heard of a chuck wagon before?
Yeah.
Okay, some have, some haven't. Chuck was a nickname for food that the cowboys used. Instead of saying, what kind of food we got, they'd say, how's the chuck? Now there are theories as why they called it chuck. One of them might have been because somebody made the cook mad one time and the cook put something in his plate, or maybe the cook just couldn't cook very well and the cowboy didn't like the food and he just chucked it, you know. Oh, sorry about the water. Another, there's also a term called upchucking, which maybe some of you have heard, and maybe it came from that. We don't know. But anyway, food was called chuck, and the wagon that the cook drove was the chuck wagon. Now the cook was sometimes cranky because he didn't get as much sleep as everybody else. Why was that? Well, after supper, he had to do all the dishes, clean everything up, pack up all of his equipment and the chuck wagon and everything. He'd get to bed really late. While the cowboys, they zonked out right after supper a lot of times. Then the cook would sometimes have to get up at like 3 o'clock in the morning because he had to make breakfast for everybody. So those cowboys, when they woke up in the morning, those cowboys wanted to eat breakfast before they went out to work the cattle. So he went to bed late and he got up early. Okay, so that made him cranky sometimes. So after breakfast, when they're gathering up the cattle to move on north, because they drove cattle from Texas all the way to Kansas, the chuck wagon cook would leave an hour to 2 hours ahead of all the cattle, okay? And that was because, for a couple reasons. One, the chuck wagon cook didn't want to have all that dust from the cattle getting all over his chuck wagon. And secondly, he had to go ahead to find the next camping spot, the next spot to cook the next meal. And he tried to have the camp set up and the meal ready when the herd arrived for the noon meal. And then the same thing for the evening meal. So the cowboys wanted to get the cattle to the next spot and then be ready to eat when they got there. Okay, so now the cook had other jobs too. I mean, he was a hard-working guy because not only did he cook and do the dishes and all of that stuff, he sometimes had to be the doctor. Because cowboys falling off their horses or whatever, for whatever reason, sometimes would get hurt. Sometimes they'd get a bad cut and they would need to have that cut sewn up.
Get a bellyache.
Or they'd get a bellyache, especially if John was, never mind. They'd get a bellyache or whatever. So the cook, he could put stitches in to heal a wound. Or if you ripped up some clothes, the cook often repaired the clothes. They did all kinds of extra things besides just cooking. So very big job, very important. So there was a rule, it was an unwritten rule, but every ranch crew followed it, that you go out about 20 feet in a circle from the chuck wagon, and you just imagine that there's a chalk line out there. Anywhere inside that circle, he is the boss. You have to get his permission to come inside that circle to approach the chuck wagon unless he has rung the bell and said, let's eat. But otherwise, the cowboys stayed away from the chuck wagon unless they got permission to come in. And that even included the ranch boss. Sometimes the ranch boss would be on the drive. The boss was the guy who paid the cook and all the cowboys. So he was the boss. The cook worked for him, but inside that perimeter of the chuck wagon, he was the boss even over the owner, and so they respected that. So anyway, very important job. And when ranchers were hiring cowboys, to drive their cattle north, sometimes there weren't enough cowboys to go around for all the ranchers that were looking for cowboys. So the cowboys could ask for a little better pay, but the main thing that they wondered was which ranch has the best cook, which ranch serves the best food.
This
on the
ranch
trail.
does.
So, see, there you go. So they,
There's a goat.
good. So the better the food, the more apt you were to be able to hire a full crew of cowboys to take your cattle up the trail. So that's about all I know about chuck wagon stuff. You guys have any good questions for us? Yes, sir.
This is an amazing ranch. How do you own this?
Well, that's his. That's John's. John is the cook, and he's the owner of the chuck wagon. And he actually, that's part of his work. Is he caters meals for people.
Did he build it?
He built part of it. He bought it. He bought an old chuck wagon, and then he fixed it up. Yeah, he's very good at it. Yes. Well, mostly wood and iron.
Whoa! And smoked
Yes.
When did you get it? When was it like invented?
It was invented by a man named Charles Goodnight in Texas, and basically wagons like this were already around for hauling freight and stuff. But Charles Goodnight thought, you know, I need to put something on the back of that wagon where we can store pots and pans and supplies and have them separated, just like your mom's cabinets at home. So he built a box that had cabinets and drawers and stuff. And that was about in
80s, like 70s, 80s.
Okay, sometime in the 1870s is when the chuck box was invented. And there are various versions, you know. Every cook would kind of design his own chuck box to have it the way he wanted it.
Got a little girl over there with a question.
Good. Hi, hello there. You have a question?
What are you guys cooking?
What are we cooking? Cobbler.
Cobbler.
Did you want to take a look at it?
Who is it?
Apple and peach cobbler.
Watch your feet, because those are hot.
They're actually cooking stuff in there. Do you guys know that?
No.
Oh, yum.
A piece of. That's how they get it off. That's how you guys get it off.
Don't get too close to these because they are very hot, okay?
I live on the farm.
Good. I think a lot of the kids in this area live on farms. Yeah. So you guys had really good questions. It was always fun to have you guys here and talk. Huh? Well, you mean how would you buy a chuck wagon?
Oh, I know everything about chips.
Oh, well, these are just big cans of fruit. He made peach cobbler and probably apple cobbler.
What's the tomato? Why do you have a gun?
He made stew over here. So, you know, tomatoes are really good in stew.
Why do you have a gun?
We're ready to shoot.
You got a blank?
In here.
Those are both shot.
Don't watch it, baby. Wait.
You notice he don't trust me with more than one at a
I only
time.
give him one bullet. Well, these are
Ready,
blank.
Galen?
Although blanks, you don't want to have
Look, he's stirring the
blank.
stew. Stirring the stew, so it doesn't burn.
When you go to the next station over here, this is all the frontier guns. And they got
And those are warm.